not sitting in. What I'm saying is we're just being that slight bit more aware that you are covering that 15 to give these two the man on man. That this is now about 45 minutes of pure focus. Yeah? Pure focus, good decision making, and fucking unity. Remember I spoke about that unity? My God, am I so proud of you out there at the moment. Yous are fucking working so hard for each other. You are fighting. You put them off in about 5 or 10 minutes, they were absolutely at you. And you stay calm. I want no yellow cards. I want no stupidity. Aaron, you're having a great game out there because you're covering ground everywhere, man. You are fucking captain out there today. You are just fucking everywhere. Non-negotiables. On air terms. Go get this fucking next goal.
You were big into soccer growing up?
Yeah. Football, I have to call it soccer in Australia, you know. So when I come back, I have to check myself. Other people go, listen to this guy, calling it soccer. Yeah, football. Grew up playing football all my life. Played Gaelic again. Probably played Gaelic up until under 16 and played, football all the way through. Played a Saturday and a Sunday, so it was really interesting. You know, like that's what you did. You know, training 4 nights a week and then if you weren't doing that, you were playing football in the greens, you know? So I used to play a lot around between Castle Farm and Broadmeadows and that green. There was just like games on every day after school. And like even in winter, you'd look back and they were great games, you know what I mean? I played soccer then from the age of 16 onwards, played at Sword Celtic, had a year out in Mallows in Finglas, and then continued that on when I kind of left and went overseas.
Why did you leave Dublin?
Why did I leave Dublin? I love Dublin. Dublin probably didn't love me. Like, meaning it was a space for me where I just wasn't going to, I don't ever think fulfill any kind of ambitions or any kind of potential, I don't think, you know, like I just wasn't getting ahead, like employment wise or work wise, like I had no kind of direction or drive. And I kind of felt that was probably nearly imprisoning me, you know, a little bit like, so, and I probably always spoke to people about this, you know, I was working in a job, I was working in a car park, and I was just like, you know, going there every day was just, it was taking the soul out of me, you know, because I actually figured I could do something better, or, you know, and it wasn't that, you know, I had any, you know, not like that egotistic in that way around. I just felt that there was something better for me somewhere, you know. I also then obviously met my wife. She was Irish. I met her in Australia, but her parents are from, you know, Dublin, Ireland. So she came back and lived with me when I went backpacking to Australia. She came back about 98, 99. So then I always had in my head that we'd probably get back over there. And then when I went to Australia, I just thought it would be a really clean start and I could just do what I wanted and be who I wanted and kind of reinvent myself a little bit better there without the pressures. Yeah, I always joked, I was very socially challenged when I lived in Swords. So yeah, that used to bring out the best and the worst in me, I think.
So you found yourself in Australia. How did you find your career?
By accident, right? So like I went to Australia and I was trying to get a job in retail, any kind of job, you know, working in clothes shops or music shops or anything I could do. And I couldn't get a job. And I don't know whether it was because, you know, it was like the Irish type, maybe backpacking, you're going to be heading off or whatever. My brother was working, doing drug and alcohol, working in a rehabilitation centre. And so he said to me, look, do you want to go and have an interview for this? Like it's pretty different, you know, and this is what it is. You be working in a rehabilitation centre with people that are detoxing from drugs, and there's, you know, it's challenging, but there's also very rewarding and so forth. And I was like, Jesus, you know, I always think to myself, I was probably at that stage, was I doing as much as, I was probably doing more than the people that were in there. Like in a sense, I felt hypocritical of even stepping into that space because I, you know, was still carrying on a bit like that, you know. But then I realised when I went for the interview and did all that, it wasn't about that, you know, it wasn't about me, it wasn't about what I was doing, it was more about being able to listen and talk to people that were in a really, really bad place and then just trying to give them some options. So it wasn't me putting my lived experience onto someone, that just helped. And I think having an Irish accent, and I was a bit different and had a ton of humour maybe that, you know, the young kids that came in there, I used to work with them and I ended up then working with a lot more of the difficult ones. And I just ended up kind of, that's where I cut my teeth working in youth work, but I fell into it and people would ask me, you got any qualifications? And I had none, zero. It was just, my qualification was just life.
Did you enjoy the work?
I did, yeah. Drug and alcohol work I enjoyed that. I did it for 4 years, but there's only a shelf life you have in that. Because, you know, you're going in every day and you work with people like, you know, coming in and they're like really bad. At the time that in Australia was a lot of heroin, was very, very deep entrenched. A lot of people were in heroin and ice, you know, crystal meth was massive, and that brought a different spin to, you know, detox. And then alcohol was like obviously very prevalent and probably the worst thing that you see people detoxing off. As much as I loved the work, I loved helping people, you know, there was like a revolving door. You'd help someone for 2 weeks and they get them into a long-term rehabilitation centre as well. But then you'd see them again, 6 months, 7 months, maybe a few weeks, coming back in again, and they'd be in a worse state. And I just wanted to do something a bit more that had a bit more, I suppose, longevity in it. I could have a bit more impact in it. So at that time, I was offered a job. I turned it down about 3 times, actually. Worked for a project called the Bridge Project. It was looking at like employment and education for people that were in prison. And it was brand new. It was like 6 months. And I turned it down 2 or 3 times. And I thought, you know what? I might do that. But I'm a bit of a chance. I'm like, yeah, I'll try my neck. Like, I'll put my neck out on everything. Someone asked me one day in there in work, do you want to teach? I said, oh yeah, I can teach. So within a week, I was in front of a classroom teaching people how to work with people with challenging behaviours. I had a class of about 30. I was thinking to myself, I had an overhead projector with slides. Remember an overhead projector with slides? I was thinking, what am I doing here? But in some way, I was just able to do that, So I ended up teaching for like 6 months, and I ended up doing the Bridge Project. That was part-time. I wanted to do casual, and I was doing the drug and alcohol. But then after a while with the drug and alcohol, I was getting burnt out. I needed to go into something where I could do a bit more impact. And that's where then my career kind of, I suppose, took a real trajectory in a different way, So I came in like as well as like a case management role. Like I'd come in and I'd go into like all the youth detention centres in Melbourne, and I'd interview young people in there. So, and then I'd also interview employers and businesses. So I became that kind of link in between, justice, youth justice and employment. So I started to really hone the skills of business around that as well, because I was meeting with lots of businesses. So, I became a really good negotiator around a lot of that and that. So all these things are like the hidden kind of transferable skills, was what I call them, and what I used to teach people about later on in leadership things around transferable skills. So all my skills that I'd grown up, when you asked about growing up in swords and all that, became my weapons, became something that I was really good at. I was never fearful of entering into any conversation with anyone at any level. I didn't have anything of fear. If I was meeting with a politician or a person in prison, I talked to them exactly the same way, and I was able to get some cut through on both ways as well. So I started doing that case management in the prison, and the young people liked me. And then I do the employers, and they like me. So I started to place people in jobs, and I do that really intensive case management about keeping them in a job. And when I was keeping them in a job, I was obviously keeping them from reoffending. So I went from casual to full time, and then from full time within 4 years I became the manager, and then I took on from manager I went to be the executive manager in that organisation, and I took over all the youth justice and then also social enterprise. And I just started finding myself in different positions. Like I stepped away from the case management with the young people, and I was more then working with like politicians and philanthropy, just trying to find money, build programs. I was developing programs. I was like developing programs in prison, helping with prison designs. It was mental, you know what I mean? And that's when you kind of really like you'd be in meetings, you're going, surely I'm not meant to be in this meeting. You're sitting in the Premier's office of Victoria, and you're trying to walk out with money because your program's on its knees, and you walk out with money, and you think, how did you do that? Then you know how you do it, because it's where you kind of grew up and how you were able to always do it. So whether I was looking for money to get a bottle of wine on a Friday night, or whether I'm getting like $1 million off a government, it didn't matter. I could do either, and that's where I kind of then realised this is what I should be doing. And it kind of found me. I didn't find it.
And soccer was something you played in Australia as well?
Yeah, I played a little bit over there. When I first came, I played a little bit, and I was playing with a club, and they were trying to get me to play. It was in state 2. It was a good level, and I couldn't do it because of the work on the Saturdays and so forth. And I kind of, at 33, after I had my first child, about 6 months later, I was living right beside a football ground. It was Moreland, was the name of the team, and they were in State 2, I think, at the time. And so I just went up the road and just joined them, played with them, and they welcomed me in. It just turned, it's crazy. It turned out that they were their affiliation of years ago was all coming from Irish. And they were like an Irish, English, even look at their badge, which is similar to the club now that I coach. Watsonia, it's the kind of same badge, where it has Irish kind of connections in it through it, and English and so forth. So it was a really good club for me, So I just kept playing. I started to play again, and it was always a constant in my life, football. Like I always came back to it. Even when I was younger, living in Swords, growing up, I was like carrying on. I was, as I said, socially challenged. So like you'd play on Sundays, and it was hard, you know what I mean? Like just to try and even play football. So when I went to Australia, I didn't have any of that in the way. So I could actually play it free because I was a parent. I wasn't, worried about that social aspect of it. I was just worried about playing football, and you're a long time retired, so I kind of loved the fact that I was able to have another go at it in a different country.
And then you got more into coaching?
Yeah, I got into coaching. So I started playing back in Australia at 33, and then I retired in that club. I taught 36. I did a few years and I retired because I had another child. I had 2 kids, and then my last kid was like born just when pre-season kind of kicks in. And I thought it's a bit too much to go and play another season. So I retired. And then I was at a tournament, playing this like kind of tournament one day, and a guy that I knew was like, I'll just move to this other club called Watsy Heights. And I'd moved into that area. Funny enough, I was close to it, and he goes, come on up, it's a really cool club, you were at more, you'll enjoy it. So I went up there, and I said, I'll play 2 years. I said, that was 37. And I retired playing in the first team, and I think it was 44. So because I squeezed every ounce out of my body, to play, because I just loved the competitiveness of it and playing in the first team, and I loved the club, I loved the people, and that became the biggest kind of connection home for me, like that. And then I got into coaching because at that age, you're going to have injuries. And unfortunately, I had a lot of soft tissue injuries and that, but I had really bad Achilles injuries. And then they said, would you help out coaching the reserves while you're coming back from, this injury and getting back in the first team? So I did it. And again, I didn't go looking for it. It found me. It's probably a common theme. It found me because I didn't think I'd ever want to be a coach, And then when I was playing one of the games, and I kind of looked at the reserve. I was helping with the reserves, and I was like, the standard here is not great of how the training was or what it was. I was very professional, kind of in how I would approach at the end of my career, how I'd look after myself, how we train. So I kind of brought that element into the reserves, and they kind of then really loved it because they had a first team player that was kind of bringing their standards up, And then I was just about to go back and play in the first team, and that coach walked away on the same day nearly, that I was ready, cleared to go back. So I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, what am I going to do here? You know what I mean? I really invested in these lads. You got no coach, but I also want to play. So I ended up doing, it was crazy. I ended up playing the first team, and I ended up coaching the reserves. And then after that, I finished with the first team and went and been player manager of the reserves. And then after that, I went and became an assistant coach of the senior team. And then 3 years ago, I took on the senior gig. So that was my, pathway into coaching. And I didn't go looking for any of it. It just happened.
Do you enjoy the coaching?
Do I enjoy coaching? I tell you, some days I do, and some days I think, I go, this is crazy. Yeah, I do. I do enjoy coaching. Look, I think one of the things that I fell into a lot was leadership in my work. Even when I was, managing programs, and I always had big teams. I think by the time I finished one kind of programs, I was looking at 44 people underneath me. So I think being able to lead and being able to talk and being able to motivate was there. In football, I think the fact that I could play and people could respect that and saw how I could do that. So I think when I went into coaching, at the start, the coach I was when I started and the coach I am now is totally different. I just ran on a little bit of, I think it's this, you know what I mean? And I think I can get away with this. And so I do enjoy coaching, but I'm enjoying more now of all the aspects of coaching, So not just man management, more tactical and just but there's pressure on it, it doesn't matter, in my league or in any league, if you're coaching teams, you're so invested in it, you just get them, you just everything about it, And I'm kind of a coach that's ingrained in all my players, so I kind of know what's going on with them at all times, inside and outside as much as I can of football, so I can support them to be the best kind of player they can be, on any given week and any given game. But you get so invested in it, and then what I found from being a player and a coach was when I lost a game as a player, I just go training, I get over it much quicker. But when you lose it as a coach, you unpack that stuff all night, the next day, what could I have done differently, And then you're managing 25 squad player, 25 players in the squad. So I finish one job now and I then start the other one in the evening, and that then rolls all the way through. So I enjoy a lot of it, but I don't know, these have been my famous last words. I don't know how long I'll be in it, you know what I mean? It takes a bit. And I've got a family, and I've got, my job and all that. And you kind of wonder, if I didn't do it, what would that look like more? You know what I mean? Not so much a family thing, but more the work thing. How would I progress even more in my career? Would I do different things? But I can tell you now, football has always been the constant, as I said before. And last year, 2 years, when I was starting other businesses, it wasn't great for me. Financially, it wasn't great. And I don't think if I hadn't had football and I hadn't had the documentary coming out and all that, it gave me a purpose. and it gave me something that I think I look forward to, and it gave me an endorphin hit, you know, that I needed. And I've always chased that in everything in life. I'm an addictive personality. So that's why I probably am still in it, and why when a lot of coaches don't stay, I'm still here and still doing it. But yeah, every day I ask myself, do I actually enjoy this? Or do I actually need this? But I think the answer is always yes, because if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't be doing it, you know? It is just tactical. You're on a yellow card. If I left you out there and they skipped by you and you had to take them down, you're off. We're down to 10 men. You've done nothing wrong. You've been brilliant, right? Team game.
As you would have heard in Mick's halftime team talk, he is not keen for the boys to drop into a low block yet, but rather go on the hunt for a third goal. It takes just 60 seconds for Watsy to find their third, as Cam buries his fifth of the...
How did the documentary come about?
Documentary come about second year into coaching. There was you'll see the documentary, Pitchside Productions is the name of the production company, and a guy called Johnny Walker, who was actually a player with me. We played together, and I actually then was kind of a coach him nearly the end. He had to retire really early at 30. He's a super player. He was in that kind of field and work, you know. So he was always thinking about it, and I was actually thinking about it. I was thinking, wouldn't it be interesting to like put a camera on me and a mic on me the whole time and just like be raw and all that. Like, so we talked about it, and the thing we needed a format. You need characters, and you need, you know, a way of doing it. So once we landed on what we wanted to do, then he was like, well, you're going to be the center, like, focus of it. I was like, I'm fine with that. Like, I'm going to be as raw as I can. I'm going to be as honest as I can. I'll share tactics to do all stuff. And like, so there's a big question mark on whether like this could work and whether we should do it. And the club, then I have to go to and go, guess what I'm doing? But then again, the positives outweighed everything else. I said, look, let's just do it for a year or two, see what it did. But I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we had a state forward team in Victoria? It's real grassroots stuff, because you had your Wrexhams and you have, you know, there's another really good one in England, Dorking FC. Like, so you had these really big productions that were doing it, and then you had what we were doing, and it was just me and him basically. And Johnny's the creative masterpiece behind it, like, so he does all the editing and all that. And I don't think he could actually replicate this. It would cost you that much money to do. So the quality is what people were surprised at. So we just said, let's do 6 series, like six episodes. Let's just try it. And we did 16 last year because we had one of the most crazy league run-ins, and we became a kind of a team that came out of nowhere. And then people just caught on, and I think they kind of liked me, and they liked probably how I spoke. And I'm a bit crazy on the sidelines. I come across a bit like crazy with players and do all that, but it's real, it's me, and I think that kind of caught on. So 6 turned into 16, and then we're in season 2. And it's been amazing, like really unexpected, but it's been amazing.
Is there a chance you might win the league next year?
So I'm not gonna. If anyone wants to watch the Watsy Way, I won't tell you what happens in last year, but you couldn't script this. Like, you, honest to God, you could not script what happened in that league and the way we went at it. This year, in the league we're on top. So we are 4 games left. So I had to come overseas, come back to Ireland quickly, just because of family reasons and so forth. So we're 4 games away and we're on top, but there's a team breathing down our neck, and it could go all the way to the wire as well. But we're positioned differently. We're calm, you got to be calm around. I've been through, when you see the season 1, you'll see the pressures, you'll see how it works, and it is just full on. So that helps you. Like, anything in life like that that is stressful, or that is, a challenge and all that, I look at it as an opportunity to learn about yourself and about, how you do things differently. So this year then, it's been my biggest aid, because you can actually then, in anything in life, you can use the experience to form, what you're moving forward with as well. So, so I use that. If you can't, the day you stop learning from things that go wrong or things that are challenging, you're done. You know what I mean? Because that's where all the gold is, to actually take it forward and be different the next time. So, you know, things, you have to reflect on yourself, you have to reflect on everything. And that's what I think this year is done now. So we're in a really good position, and it's going to go to the wire, but like it's heating up. Again, couldn't script it what we're doing again this year. So that helps when you have a documentary. I don't know if we were like mellowing around the relegation or mid-table, would it be? I don't know, maybe, I don't know. But I think more than what Watsy Way was about lifting all the clubs around us, telling a story about grassroots football and not being really one-sided on it. Like, so if anyone watches it, they'll see that we paint the picture and let the audience make a decision. We don't say, oh, this should have been a sending off, or this could have been this, or could have been that. It's against us and everyone's against us. Not that. If you do that, it doesn't work. And the biggest thing about that was that other clubs were worried about, like, you know, whether they would accept it and all that. And every club has been the total opposite. They've been brilliant when we roll into town. They play better than every time. They play us. They get 10%, 20% when the cameras are on. That's something you have to wear. And I cop a bit of flack now and again, but it's always good banter. So I wouldn't change it though. Yeah. So hopefully, we can you know get the league and then, you know, get promoted. Once he goes, you have to go. You have to be ready. You have to be ready. Yeah? And then pause, you got to be ready in behind, Aaron's got to be ready in behind, because what they might do then is they'll try, hang on Lukey, what they will do then is they'll try to go over the top of the pass, and that's when these two become really effective.
Are there any managers, past or present, that you look up to?
I look at management as like there's two types that you kind of look at the moment in football. You have your man managers, and then you have like your tactical kind of managers. Then you have the other where they're crossed, and the really good ones like that do both. So, you know, I'm a Manchester United supporter, but that doesn't mean that I look at their, like, well, geez, you can take a pick of any manager they've had over the last while, it hasn't worked, you know. I suppose you have Michael Carrigan at the moment, he's a man manager. But the ones that I would look to that I would say over the last while that are amazing managers would be, well, like obviously Alex Ferguson, for whatever he did was amazing, just for that consistency of 26 years. But I look at people like, I think that changed the game a little bit. I think like if you look at like Jurgen Klopp for Liverpool, he was a cross of that man management and tactical. So I always sense that people would like run through a brick wall for him. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then also trust him in them moments when tactically or a team's on top or doing whatever, that they trust him. So he would be one. And obviously Pep Guardiola changed football in a way he did it as well. So they're probably two of the great examples of managers that in the modern era that have done the balance, and they're the most probably successful, have done the man management and the tactical. And where you look at it, sometimes it doesn't work. I think Man United have had a few over the last years, it's just like tactical. You're like, I don't know, that can't always work. Mourinho's a great example. He was I liked his charisma. So when you look at how he manages people and talks to people, I loved Mourinho, but when he was coaching United, it was hard. But he's one that probably now will be interesting to see. I think he's going to Real Madrid now. So how is he going to bring that in? Has he still got that ability to switch? If you can't adapt in management, and that's one thing I'll say, if you can't adapt to what's around you, and you're just going to go, nah, it's my way or the highway, I don't know, I question that. You know, and who am I to question that against great managers? Like I'm a guy who manages at a, you know, kind of a grassroots level. But I do think that you have to be able to adapt, and you have to be able to be reflective on yourself and reinvent yourself in business and in football. And that's probably why I've stayed in the field that I have in both. But in business, if you reinvent yourself, otherwise you're going to just be the same, doing the same role. If you can reinvent yourself, you're going to open yourself up to different roles. And that's exciting. In football, I think you have to reinvent yourself as a manager. Or at least you have to be able to reflect on yourself and go, I don't know if I can do this anymore this way, or I don't think my way is the right way. I think my way with an introduction of this could be the best way. So they're probably the two good examples of the managers that I say have done it the best over the last while, and why they've had great success.
What do you like most about living in Australia?
It's warmer. That goes without saying. I found Australia easier for me to live. Like I just found Dublin a challenge at that time. Like, and probably still is for others. But like Australia now is one of the most. Like I think Melbourne's been voted one of the most expensive cities in the world. That's tough. You know, like it's tough over there as it is. And imagine here, what I hear from being here and back in Dublin and that as well. I like the brightness of it. You know, I like the fact that there is sunshine and summers, and I know people over there might complain a little bit about Melbourne being like 4 seasons in a day, but it's different. I always say, like, people always ask me the difference in the weather, and I'd say, well, look, in Ireland you get like 9 months of really darkness and kind of a bit of that misery, you know, like it's dreary, you know, and then you get 3 months of optimism, which is the summer. But then that can go against you and turn into more misery, you know what I mean? Then you're back into the 9 months again. Where I think in Australia, I always thought, like, you get a really defined winter for 3 months, and it is very defined, and it's different, it's good, because it's not great having all the heat either. And then you've got your rest of your year where it's like, it's pretty bright and pretty good to live in. It's a good country to go. Kids, great for kids, outdoors, all that. It's been great for me for my career. I think the one thing I like the most about living in Australia is that it's just created opportunities for me. It's not so difficult. For me, I just don't know if I would have ever fulfilled any potential in Dublin. I might have, I don't know, you know. But I don't know if I would have done it as easy as I could have done it in Australia. There was just doors open. You just do stuff. Just have a go at stuff, you know. And I like that about Melbourne. And I like the fact that at the time it was just a very cool city for who you are, what you are, you know, where you come from or whatever. It was just very accepted and just easy to get along, you know what I mean, with everything and get along in life. So it's my home now. It's been there like 23 years. So, you know, I got 2 homes, and Dublin's my other home as well. And yeah, proud of both of them as well. So
What do you miss most about Dublin?
what I miss most about Dublin, friends and family. Friends and family, 100%. Dublin's steeped in that amazing kind of history. So what like I enjoy coming back here and doing stuff like if you go into the city centre and you're going around and you're having a pint in a pub that's like been X amount of years old and hasn't probably changed, like nearly 1,000 years, whatever, like that. I love that, you know what I mean? Around that as well. But I think family and friends is what I miss the most. Like, people know you here. You don't have to, like, I don't have to pretend over there, but people just get you. Your mates get you here because they've known what you've been through and you know what they've been through. So you don't have to say anything. I can come back here and within a minute of meeting my mates, they will, like, you know, it's like you've never been away. And they'll also be really good at bringing you back down to earth as well. And they're also really good at like holding up the mirror a bit honestly like that. They just get you and you get them. So it's just a conversation. So sometimes in Australia, you know, you don't want to come back to, I'd love to be back in Dublin. You just want to be able to go and go, I'd love to just walk into the pub and have a pint with me mates and just have a chat. Do you know what I mean? And that I miss. And I know we got social media, I know you get all that. It's just not the same. It's that connection face to face as well, like family as well. Like, you know, as you grow older and you have your own family, you kind of get to, you know, really look at that and see how precious that is. So when I come back here, and I see like cousins and that, like obviously my parents are both, you know, have both passed away. When my brother lives here, and I got a lot of cousins here, and they hold a part of you. I always think they hold things that you've never heard. There's not one time I would come back and I wouldn't hear more stories about them growing up, my parents and all that. So they hold that. That's precious, isn't it? Like that storytelling ability or the memories that they have in a vault that they can bring out at any time for you, you know, that you've never heard. So, you know, that is something that I kind of, when I come back and I hear that, I go, God, you know what? You know, I'd love to be able to get more of that, you know, as well. So don't miss the weather. Do miss watching football on a Saturday, probably going out with your mates, and do miss, as I say, that kind of fun that you have and that unapologetic kind of relationship that you have with your mates. It's who you are, it's who they are, and you just bring out the best and maybe the worst in each other, but it's always fun.
If you had one piece of advice for a young person growing up today in either Dublin or Melbourne, what would you give them?
I was 27 and I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do, you know, like, and I went to Australia, I kind of reinvented myself that way. But I see the pressure on young people at the moment, and I think, like, you know, trying to determine what path they should take. Sometimes you just gotta let it find you. Do you know what I mean? Like, but on the back of that, the second part of advice I'd say is do something you fucking like. Try and do something that you fucking like or are interested in, because you're gonna work a long time and you're gonna have all that stresses and pressures on you. If you can do something that you like going to work, or you know, feel you're good at or whatever, do that, because not so many of us walk this earth that don't get that, that haven't had that, you know, and we work and we earn and you provide and you do all that. But like, why can't you do something that you like? So that would be probably the biggest thing as well. I tell that to my kids. I said, okay, if you're going to study something, if you like it, it's going to make it easier. If you're going to work in it and you're going to have bad days, you're going to make it easier. You're going to turn up for work in the morning. You're going to have that dread on a Sunday, you know what I mean, of like going into a job. So that would be the biggest thing, you know, them two pieces. Like, yeah, don't get there too quick, right? Give yourself time to think about it. But then when you do think about it, make sure it's something that you enjoy, because you're going to be doing it for a long time. Or you're going to be able to then, you know, reinvent and peel off to another layer of that in a job that's good, or in a profession that's good. So that would be it, I'd say, yeah.
How can people find your football team's content?
YouTube. Just type in the Watsy Way, you get on YouTube, you get season 1, and I'll up to date in season 2. And you'll see a lot of the shorts and the videos on TikTok and Insta as well, which people I think really like them as well. They blow up a bit as well. So you'll get us. Once you type it in, you'll get us, and you'll see. Yeah, and hopefully you'll stay watching and you'll stay supporting, because yeah, it means a hell of a lot to us to have that support and the kind words. It kind of keeps us going, you know. Also keeps the guy I'm doing Pitside Productions to go for season 3. So yeah. And I always say to people, don't judge, just support us. You know what I mean? Because you want to pick a team anywhere around, and you want to pick a story anywhere around. It's a cool story, it's a cool team. And who would have thought a State 4 team in Victoria would have fans around the world that would reach out? Like, it's pretty bizarre. So that's what I will finish with, like, go Watsy. My name's Mick Cronin. I'm originally from Swords. I now live in Melbourne, Victoria. I'm the head coach of Watsonia Football Club and the star of the Watsy Way. Thanks, Mark. Theo, play. Thanks, mate, for sure. Hey, keeper, well done. Hey, bring it as always, man. You are some fucking keeper. I keep telling him, go around you. Yeah, no, you know what it was? Yeah, it was. That's what it was. Yeah, no, it was. I didn't want to take him off. No, yeah, no, superstition it was. I swear to God. You banished them, man. You destroyed them. You know what? You have to go around that keeper. You can't go through it. I'm not joking. Fucking hit them.